Hey everyone, I am hopping on to talk about stress. So I posted on the weekend, hopefully you guys saw it. Hoping some of you guys could sneak off on your lunch. But if you can't, that's okay. The recording's always here, you can watch later. I'm gonna keep this really short because I know how people's attention spans are, if they're anything like mine. So let's talk about stress. So stress, I believe, is sort of an overused word in a way, because it seems like just everyone is talking about stress, but do we even really know what it is and why it even matters? So what I do want you to know is that it is something that you'll want to take seriously and get really proactive with managing it because of the health impacts that it can have later in your life, even though you don't see it right now. And one of the things that I found is most people don't realize they're stressed because they're so used to working at a specific state, and they don't even know what it feels like to be in that parasympathetic state. And that is when your nervous system is balanced and you're not working from a stressed, busy, fast paced. So let's just talk a little bit about what happens when you're stressed. And so let's just talk about like an everyday situation where, let's say you get a phone call, right? And it's from the office and it's like something happened to your kid. Okay. So normally when something like that happens, you feel that panic, right? That is a stress response. And usually what is happening there is your body is secreting cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it's also secreting adrenaline, okay? And this happens for a reason, because back in the day, if you were under a stressful emergency situation, those hormones would help you to get the energy you need to be able to like dash off and run away from like a tiger that was about to kill you, or to lift up a car if it landed on, well, this is like more modern day, but lift up a car if it landed on your kid. You've heard those stories, right? That's meant to be adrenaline. So these are really great hormones. And in the short term, they're totally fine. They're okay. But the problem is that most of us are under stress chronically, meaning that every second of the day, we're working from a stressed state where our cortisol is high and our adrenaline is high and revving. So the problem with this is that when these hormones are secreted in the body, there's a couple of things that happen. So first, your digestive system shuts down. So these are non-essential functions of the body. Three systems shut down: your digestive system, your immune system, and your reproductive system, you guys. So pay attention. These are really important systems in your body. If A, you're trying to get pregnant, B, you're trying to, heal from food sensitivities, or really just anything for health, you guys. If you want to stay, healthy all winter, you need to make sure you get a hold of that stress and manage it proactively, because here's something that happens when these two hormones are secreted and these systems are shut down. Okay. So one of the things that happens is, let's just pretend your blood-brain barrier is something that protects your brain from like chemicals and unnatural synthetic hormones getting into your brain and wreaking havoc. Now, let's just pretend it's like this sieve. Sorry, I'm trying to hold my phone and this. Okay. So it's a good thing. Like, let's say chemicals are the size of a pea, so they're not going to get through this. Now, what happens is when you're under stress, your blood-brain barrier becomes less effective, meaning these holes get bigger. And then those peas or the chemicals can go through the holes and get into your brain. Okay. Now this happens slowly, but this can build up over time. And so as you can see, that's just one example of what stress can do and have negative effects on your brain. And think about it, what your brain is responsible for. When it's not doing great, you're going to experience things like depression, anxiety, headaches, foggy brain, unclear thinking, and lack of focus. Okay, those are all that could all potentially be due to stress. Do you see how that kind of all works? Another thing that happens is when those two hormones, don't forget cortisol, adrenaline, are secreted, your digestion system shuts down, and basically your body is told not to produce something called hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is something you need in your stomach to break down the proteins that you eat and the foods that you eat. So if all of a sudden your body is not secreting that HCl, guess what? You're going to start feeling bloated, feeling heavy, maybe getting food poisoning a little bit more often, maybe getting sick a little bit more often because you don't have the hydrochloric acid to break down even pathogens that come in through the food that you're eating. You might have heartburn. You're going to notice a whole host of issues. You might start developing food sensitivities. Maybe you can't digest gluten anymore. And I mean, that's a whole other topic, but that's sometimes where you first notice it. All of a sudden you're not digesting your gluten very well, or maybe you're not digesting dairy or eggs. Okay, so your digestion process sort of shuts down in a sense. And if you're not breaking down your protein, hey, guess what's going to happen? That's going to cause a whole cascade effect, because protein, little bits of protein, when they're broken down, are what creates you. They create your blood, they create your organs, they create your hormones. So you need to have those proteins broken down into usable bits. So as you can see, there's a really negative cascade that happens when you're under stress. Okay, so one of the things that I want to talk about is how the key here is to use your essential oils to almost like retrain the brain, because there are chemicals in essential oils that have the ability to kind of retrain that stress response. And the best oils to do that are oils like citrus oils. Tangerine is great, lime is great. All the citrus oils are fantastic for that. Balance is a fantastic brain for doing that. So tree-based oils, frankincense, tree-based oil, amazing for addressing that stress response. I'm just going to look at my notes. I don't want to miss anything. Oh, well, you guys know lavender. Lavender is good for that. Vetiver. Vetiver is also a good one. It's really good for refocusing the brain, getting you in tune, and it also calms your nervous system. And Adaptive, our new Adaptive line, is fantastic for that stress response. So incredible. And you can feel it happening when you're on it. And then obviously the foundation would be to get on vitamins, because when you're under stress, you are burning through your vitamins 50 times faster than the regular person. And so there are so many diseases that are linked to nutritional deficiencies that you really want to get ahead of this. Okay, you want to make sure you're getting all the right nutrition so that you can reduce the likelihood of, getting certain diseases and having that stress impact you later on in life. Because let's talk about that. So if you have these sort of long-term conditions happening, the examples that I suggested earlier, this could make you more susceptible to heart attacks, strokes, asthma, like even developing asthma later in life, or more chronic issues of the brain later in life. And obviously we don't want that, so we want to do as much as we can to prevent that from happening. So honestly, guys, the key is to really getting some good habits in place on addressing the stress through your day. Okay. So I'm going to teach you, you can pick any of those oils I mentioned. And what I'm going to do is get you to implement the 2x5 technique. Okay. So what that means is you're going to pick 5 times a day. The best times are in the morning, maybe before your breakfast, before your lunch, before your dinner, and whenever you feel stressed throughout the day, maybe before bed. And you're just going to take 2 minutes and you're going to grab that oil and you're going to get yourself into a calm state. And you're going to do that by using the breath. So some of you might not know that I'm a yoga teacher as well. I'm not practicing currently, but I learned a lot in that session. And the power of breath work is incredible when it comes to stress. So I'm going to teach you one for when you're under, like having a panic attack. So that's a breathing technique that's pretty simple. And basically what you're going to do, so if you're experiencing anxiety, what you're going to do is, so 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. You're going to do that for as long as you can. So, okay, so that's for anxiety. Now, that's only if you're experiencing it in the moment, okay? Now we're going to go back to the 2x5. So the 2x5s, what I want you to do is just the belly breath, okay? And that just really means slowing down the breath. Put your hand on your belly, and what I want you to do is pay attention to lengthening out the exhalation. You want the exhalation to be longer than the inhalation, and you want to try for about like 8 seconds to inhale, 10 seconds to exhale. You can try that, and you just do that for the 2 minutes, okay? Super doable, you guys. It's not about, sometimes people feel overwhelmed with the thought of meditation, which is also really, really great, but this can be a great way to start getting yourself into that relaxed state where you're going to be healing, okay? So, and you want to try to, the more you can do it, the easier it is your body is going to be able to get there. And so that's how the oils are going to help. So you're going to inhale that full yogic breath with your oil. So your oil of choice is Adaptive, for example. You're going to put it in your hand, and you're just going to inhale for 2 minutes, the full belly breath for 2 minutes with that oil. And what you're doing is you're training your brain. So the next time you smell that oil, you're going to go faster to that parasympathetic state than you would have the first time, and faster the next time and the next time and the next time. So you guys, there's a lot of chemistry in these oils that work really, really well. So let's use them. So that adaptive is great. Citrus is pretty cool too. And it also has chemicals or chemical compounds in citrus that help to soften cells. So what happens is when you're under stress, sometimes the cells harden. And so citrus oils, the compounds in them help soften the cells so they can then go back into a state where they're bringing in nutrition and sending out toxins. So there you have it. That's just a little bit of information about stress. 3 things I want you to take away is implement the 2x5. Pick one of the oils that you think you're going to use. Let it be a citrus and maybe a blend, and start incorporating them into your day, because this is the key, guys. It's turning into a daily habit and getting the stress quick, getting yourself back down to a relaxed, straight state so your body gets comfortable there and knows what it even feels like, right? Because sometimes we forget. So if you have any questions about anything specific that you're feeling with stress, definitely we can get more granular in terms of which oil is good for you, especially if you happen to know that your stress is triggered by an emotion or maybe a specific health concern. Let me know and I can give you the right combination for you. But for now, just stick with the ones that I mentioned. Those oils are fantastic for most people and stress, and they should do the trick for you. That's it for today, guys. Have an awesome week, and we will chat with you soon.